pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag,
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God,
indivisible,
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for all.
Thank you. The notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-10 has been complied with and shall be entered into the minutes of this meeting. Rivera, please call the roll.
Trustee Anderson,
Here.
Trustee Butees,
Good morning here.
good morning. Trustee Finkelstein,
Here.
Trustee McLean,
Here.
Trustee Orris,
Here.
Trustee Paluri,
I don't think he's on yet.
okay. Trustee Power,
Here.
Here.
Trustee Sika,
Here.
Trustee Taffet,
Here.
Chairman Power, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay. Meetings such as this do have their challenges. So therefore, I would ask if the person who moves a resolution say their name, and also the person who seconds the resolution, so that the secretary can get it an accurate and correct minutes. So may I have a motion to approve the minutes of January 20th, 2021 meeting in Middlesex College Board of Trustees?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Second, Raja.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Changes? Thank you. Motion carried. Ms. Roa, do we have any correspondence?
Chairman Power, we do not have any correspondence.
Thank you. Okay, Dr. McCormick, do we have a presentation?
Chairman Power, we do. As you know, I like to bring to you as often as I can students and alumni to speak about their experience. And we have with us today an alumna that I got to know a couple of years ago, Samantha Milano Samalina, goes by Sam. Graduated in 2016 from Middlesex, has gone on and gotten her bachelor's and now is getting her law degree. She was made the 2020 Alumna of the Year by the College Alumni Association. And I've heard you, Sam, speak a couple times. When the student trustee from a couple of years ago, Pierre Francesco Giannini, wanted to give back to the college, he asked us to help set up a panel of regional alums to talk about their experience. And you were one of the alums that spoke. And I was blown away by your personal story. I also then heard you speak when you accepted the honor of being the Alumna of the Year, and you again were invited to speak to our students virtually at last year's commencement. So I've heard your story. It's amazing. I thank you for coming today, and you can unmute and lead your story.
Sure. Thank you, Mark. Good morning, board. My name is Sam Milano Samalina, as Mark said, and I'm a graduate of the class of 2016, and I was the Alumna of the Year last year in 2020. So first and foremost, I want to thank you all for having me speak to you this morning, because I always love getting the chance to talk about my Middlesex experience, since it shaped me so thoroughly into the person I am today. Now, as excited as I am to be here, I'm also going to have to beg your patience with me, because I think this is the earliest speech I've ever given, and we're about to find out if I've had enough coffee yet. So let's talk for a minute about the illusion of training wheels. The other day, I was lamenting to my husband, groaning about how I can hardly wait until May, when I'll graduate law school and finally see the end of my time as a student after 6.5 long years. I described how my senioritis, I guess you could call it, is going to make these next 3 months feel like a tortuous eternity as I get closer to the finish line, and how it's kind of torture already because I can see it so close. Every assignment, just another barrier stymieing my journey to where my real life can finally begin. My husband, who hasn't been a student since 2005, laughed, and he said, well, I bet if you could do it all over again, you would have gone directly to college after high school, huh? That way you could have been done already. So I spent a lot more time thinking about that passing comment than he probably intended me to. And the response that I gave him was definitely not the one he expected, because I said, no, I wouldn't have. See, I took almost 5 years off between graduating high school and starting college. There were a couple of reasons for that. The first being that I was the oldest child of a single parent with 4 siblings in the middle of nowhere, New Hampshire, which loosely translated meant there was no money for college. No one in my family knew about financial aid, how it worked, let alone how to apply for it, because no one in my family had ever gone to college. And that's sort of the second reason I have a 5-year gap in my education. No one in my family had ever gone to college, so no one expected me to either. No one even acted like it was a possibility. Much the way a lot of middle-class families treat their kids going to college as a given, my family acted on the assumption that none of us would go. The third reason was that I really genuinely hated school because I always had a really hard time. Sure, academically, I did well in high school. I was an AP honor roll student, despite the fact that I had an undiagnosed learning disability. But due to that disability, my A's and B's were really, really hard won. And I was proud of them, but because of how difficult it was for me to do as well as everyone else, I felt discouraged a lot. It made me just assume that school wasn't for me. And I decided that was okay because school wasn't for everyone. So after high school, I went right to work. I was a full-time dishwasher during the day, a full-time grocery stocker overnight, and on the weekends for some personal cash, I tended bar for a couple of hours. That was my life for the next 2 years. I moved to New Jersey because my grandmother got sick. And then when she recovered, I found out pretty quickly that New Jersey was a lot more expensive than New Hampshire. I was tired of working 20-hour days because I'd done it for the last several years, but to downsize to a single job that paid enough for the cost of living in New Jersey, I needed a degree. That was what job posting after job posting after job posting kept saying. And even the places that I got into with an interview because it was degree recommended or degree preferred, I quickly found out degree preferred was just another way to say, we want you to have a degree. And I finally came to terms with the fact that I'd have to go to college or else move back to New Hampshire. And I really dreaded the idea of college. I hated to think that I would have to pay so much money just to struggle and be miserable. And how would a class schedule affect my ability to work? My livelihood, however minuscule it was. So I'm a religious person and I prayed about it. After months of agonizing, one night on the bus home, I prayed, God, if I need to go to college, give me a sign. And then when I woke up the next day, I went to get the mail, and there, waiting in my mailbox, was a postcard from Middlesex County College addressed to Sandy Milano. First of all, I'm not Sandy. Second of all, when I ask God for answers I don't want, I expect them to show up ambiguously in 5 to 7 business days. This was a little too close for comfort. So I threw the card away. It wasn't addressed to me anyway. The next night I came home from work, grabbed the mail, and there was another card. This one was addressed to Sammy Milano. And I figured it would be hard to pretend that that wasn't a sign. I attended open house a couple weeks later, just so I could have help with the application process, the enrollment and registration. And because I didn't want to be there, I didn't appreciate until hindsight how easy it was made to seem. I assumed college was something that was gate kept, that was impossibly difficult to apply for all on your own, to enroll in, to figure out, but I wasn't on my own at all. Very quickly, I realized, even before I was a student, that I was being shown and instructed on how to become a student by people at MCC who were patient, kind, and not at all condescending. And that was great. And then I was in school, and I was a mess. All of the things I struggled with in high school were highlighted tenfold. I didn't know how to study, I struggled to organize, and I had no idea how to participate in class. I was struggling so much harder than I ever anticipated, and it all felt impossible. One evening in March, 2 months after I started, I came to campus right from work, thinking I was running late because so were the buses as usual, only to run to the classroom and find it empty. Turns out, class had been canceled, and I hadn't thought to check my email after work before taking the hour-long bus ride. I was tired and hungry and frustrated beyond belief. As I made my way back up the hill to the bus stop, I just felt so abruptly overwhelmed when I was right outside of Chambers Hall that I kind of just collapsed into the grass. And I just lay there, staring up at the dusky sky, letting myself cry. And I decided right then and there, I was going to drop out. I couldn't handle any of it anymore. I didn't know what I was thinking, that I could go to college, that I could make this impossible thing work. Didn't I know my own limits? Didn't I know better than to think that I could be something? And as I laid there crying and staring and resolving to drop out, I heard a concerned voice demand, "Are you okay?" And when I looked up, I saw a woman, clad in business casual, and I was too upset to even feel embarrassed. So I sat up and blurted, "No, I have to drop out." And this woman, clearly at the end of her shift, on her way home for the night, standing in the cold, didn't look at me with any pity, just kindness. She took me to the college center, bought me French fries, and sat and listened to me while I nibbled and cried and vented and cried some more. And she eventually asked me if I had asked anyone for help. I told her I didn't know who to ask. She looked me dead in the eye and she said, ask anyone. We're all here to help you. So the next day I arrived on campus, walked right into the tutoring center and said, I need help. Not with any classes specifically, but just with being a student, because it was something I hadn't done for 5 years and something I had never been good at in the first place. And I didn't think that they had anyone to tutor specifically on the subject of student, but they did immediately. They had someone explain how to take notes, how to read critically, how to make a calendar of assignments and keep on track with tasks. I dropped in every time something was overwhelming me, and every time they helped. Soon after, I walked into financial aid and said, I need help. I explained that taking classes meant I had to quit one of my 2 jobs and I was struggling to afford basic necessities like food and books and bus fare. They explained to me how to apply for scholarships through the website. They walked me through what a scholarship essay should look like, what it should say, how to keep track of due dates. They explained the difference between a scholarship and a loan and a grant. They told me about the student pantry where I could get food. They told me I could get discounted bus passes through the bookstore. Every time money troubles arose, I cried in their office, and every time they helped. Soon after that, I went to my French teacher and said, I need help. She mentioned one day in class that she too was a first-generation student. And she was so confident and powerful and brave that I needed to know how she managed to go from first-generation student to that woman, how she overcame and believed in herself. She gave me my first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh pep talk, boosting my spirits. She checked in with me after every class and reminded me that I was bigger than my problems. Every time I felt dejected, I vented to her, and every time she helped. Soon after that, I went to my linguistics professor because he was always talking about the importance of planning for the future. I was feeling really nervous about a career as a translator, which had been my plan when I started at Middlesex, because I was starting to look for jobs in translating and they were kind of difficult to come by. I was worrying that I picked the wrong major. He reminded me that there was always a good idea to have backup and plan B. And we talked, and he suggested taking an elective in some of the other certificate programs. And if I found one I liked, I could get a certificate as a backup plan for finding work. He recommended a paralegal course because I was a strong writer, and I both learned I was good at it and fell completely in love with the subject matter. Every time I wanted to talk out my new plan to become a paralegal, I sat and brainstormed with him, and every time he helped. Soon after that, I walked into the registrar and said, I need help. I'd already declared my major, but I had no idea how to do schedule planning, how to pick my classes, how to make sure I had all the courses completed that I would need to graduate. And I knew I would have to transfer afterwards, but I didn't know how that worked either, not even the first step. The registrar helped me figure out who my academic advisor was, and sure enough, when I showed up and asked him for help, he helped. Every single time he told me what I could do and what I would need and gave me honest answers. When the time came for me to transfer, he talked me into applying to Columbia University. And I did so against my better judgment because people like me don't go to Ivy League schools. We don't even get in. But he talked me into it and I was accepted. And it was the first time I really truly believed I was capable of doing something more. And when I told him that, he said to me, I always knew you were. Every time I didn't know how to navigate my future, I turned to him. And every time he helped. Graduation day came at Middlesex and I finished summa cum laude. It was beyond anything I'd ever imagined that day lying in the cold damp grass at dusk and thinking about dropping out. I was a highest honors graduate who was accepted to an Ivy League school and was going to get her paralegal certification. I was a strong person and I was going to be somebody. I never thought either of those things about myself before that moment, sitting in the convention center in the sticky May humidity. I truly, for the first time, felt like I was unstoppable. And it turned out I was. I couldn't afford to actually go to Columbia, but when I started at Montclair State University, my momentum didn't falter. I double majored in international justice and paralegal studies with a minor in leadership and civic engagement. I was hired to work at the Leadership Development Center as a workshop presenter, and I did one speech a month about everything from grit to emotional intelligence. I wrote articles for the school paper. I was on the freshman orientation committee. I presented several of my research papers at undergraduate conferences and even one best paper at a political science conference in Monmouth. I completed the Leadership Institute program. I got my certificate to teach English as a second language. I was accepted to the new Leadership Fellowship at the Center for American Women in Politics. I graduated as valedictorian of my programs with a 4.0 GPA, and I was accepted to Rutgers Law School with a full merit scholarship, where the accolades have continued as my hard work has. And my hard work has never faltered because I've never doubted what I could accomplish since graduating. When I came to Middlesex in January of 2015, my career objective was to become a translator. And my goal was to get in, get my degree, and get out as fast as humanly possible and with as little effort as I could get away with, because after all, C's get degrees. But Middlesex turned all of my expectations on its head. I never saw a C. I learned how to always give maximum effort in everything I did, and I'm about to graduate law school. And when I do, I'll be graduating with a trail of recognitions positions behind me. And none of that would have been possible without Middlesex. At Middlesex, I was given a safe place to grow as a student and as a woman. I got to explore new areas of academic interest in order to discover my passions. I practiced new skills like responsible studying techniques and organization. I built up my old skills like public speaking. And knowing that Middlesex would have my back, even when I made mistakes along the way, gave me the confidence to keep trying and keep making those mistakes. Every time I stumbled, I was given support by professors and administrators to get back up and keep going. And the strength, grit, and convictions seeded and watered in me during my time at Middlesex all combined to enable my many successes and all the adventures on my journey after. So I want to talk about the illusion of training wheels. When I was learning how to ride a bike, I, like so many others, was taught by my father, who loosened my training wheels when I wasn't looking and kicked them off without telling me. And I rode all the way to the end of the block on 2 wheels without crashing, riding solely on the confidence that I could ride to the end of the block because I had things that wouldn't let me fall. I was Peter walking on water because Jesus said I could. I wasn't afraid to fall because there were training wheels. I felt safe and rode with 2 wheels to the end of the block. And after that, I was never scared to do it again because I had already done it once. And I knew I could, knew that I had the talent and the skills to ride just 2 wheels. But I would have been too scared to even try if I didn't think the training wheels were there. The education and support I received at Middlesex was my training wheels for being a student. Knowing that they were there and always had been filled me with so much confidence that I didn't crash when they were taken away. I rode all the way to the end of multiple degrees. Because when I started at Middlesex, I was made to feel completely supported and completely safe. And sometimes we just need to feel safe to go far. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Bravo. Very good.
Wow. You are unstoppable. My goodness. And I'm so glad we're able to help you. I need help. I need help. Every avenue that you pursued, you found help. And I'm
did.
not surprised, but I'm very happy that you were able to receive all that help, and that proud that you are an alum of MCC. So thank you.
I'm proud to be an alum of MCC.
Linda, Mark, we are proud of you guys. Really,
Amen.
this is a good achievement.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Sam, I just want to commend you. One, on your public speaking, you captivated the entire Hollywood squares, as we like to refer to ourselves. Your public speaking skills are great, and you stay on point. Your experience and your support or acknowledgement of student support services are so important for our freshmen that are entering our schools. They need to know that they can be helped and assisted, and that'll be something that as a board, we'll try to make sure that freshmen are aware of our services so that they're not laying down on the ground waiting for someone to come by and offer them help. But I truly enjoyed your story. Thank you for sharing it.
Thank you. I'm not ashamed now to admit that when I took my public speaking course in first semester at Middlesex, I finished with a B-. So I've come a very long way.
Thank you.
Amen.
Well, for a C-, you know, there's always we have our continued education. So I want to say that you've obviously continued your education on your public speaking. So you're definitely not in the C- category, in my opinion. I'll actually be judging an oratory contest on Sunday, so I'm looking forward to it. But you've already raised the bar for them.
Oh no, poor them. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Okay. All right. Dr. McCormick, did we have a public hearing on the tuition fee and increases prior to the board meeting?
Yes, Chairman Power, a public hearing was conducted prior to the tuition fee adjustments and answered any questions, and we had that meeting this morning.
Okay. Please describe what happened at the hearing.
So I presented on the proposed adjustments to our tuition for next year, including a $2 per credit increase to the standard tuition and $4 for out of county. Also on proposed adjustments to the 3 standard fees, general, technology, and student services, $4 to general, 2 to tech, and 4 to student services, and then a variety of small adjustments to a few course fees, mainly in the area of nursing and education, to support additional costs needed to support those courses. Also, the expansion of a program called First Day, by which we embed a course fee to courses and provide resources for those courses in the Canvas learning management system, and thereby obviating the need for textbooks. And in each case, in a First Day fee, the cost of the books goes down for students, often significantly.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, shall we go into the committee reports?
Yes, Chairman Power.
Okay. Academic and Student Affairs, Chairman Praful Raja.
Good morning, everybody. Dr. Chair, we have so many resolutions.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Academic and Student Affairs resolution for this month are all in the areas of grants. So I invite my colleague, Vice President Michelle Campbell, to introduce those resolutions for you.
Good morning, everybody. So as Chairman Raja and Dr. Schur indicated, we have 11 grant resolutions for this month. That includes federal, state, and county support. Our federal grants that make up the resolutions are for our Department of Labor HealthWorks grant, where Bergen Community College is the lead on that consortium. We also have our Scaling Apprenticeship Department of Labor grant, where the County College of Morris is the consortium lead. And most recently, we received a $1.4 million grant, FIPSI Department of Education grant for open educational resources, and we are the lead on that consortium grant. Our state grants include 2 Perkins grants, last year's Perkins as well as this year's. And as I mentioned in the committee meeting last week, there was an oversight on our side with regard to the resolution for the first Perkins grant for last year during the transition to remote operations, which was found during our audit. So that's included in the resolutions for this month. We also have our Community College Opportunity Grant, which is our capacity building grant for CCOG, our CRN, College Readiness Now, Adult Basic Education, and Pathways to Recovery. Our county grants include our We Owe a Youth Grant and our Learn to Earn grants. And that is all we have for resolutions.
We have, I would like to make a motion to approve resolution 1 to 11.
I'll second.
Second, Chrissy.
We have a moved and second.
Chairman Power.
All in favor?
Chairman
Aye.
Power, you are muted.
You're muted, Dot. John Italiano, can you unmute Chairman Power?
I've asked her to unmute.
Okay,
Am I on now?
you are.
You're good.
Yes.
Dot.
I have bugs in the.
We
Okay,
have heard
all in
them.
favor?
All- Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Raja. Finance, Mr. Finkelstein.
Thank you, Chairman Power. Mr. Maltino, may I ask you to provide the finance report, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman Finkelstein, and thank you, Board, for allowing me to appear and speak to you today. There were 8 finance resolutions, and on February 10th, 2021, the Finance Committee met and discuss various financial, purchasing, and matters and awards under cooperative agreements, exempt purchases, fair and open bid processes for various goods and services ranging but not limited to the purchase of computers, license agreements, building renovations, architectural services, asbestos removal, painting, and other sundry supplies. They are all contained in resolutions 1 through 3. Resolution 4A through E are for the authorization to contractors, architects, and engineers for various approved construction contracts. Contained in resolution number 5 is the payment for legal services rendered through January 31, 2021. Resolution number 6 is for the approval for Capital 12 projects. There are 2 specific projects for FY 2022. They total $3.9 million. They are the Chambers Hall renovation and roof replacements. Resolution number 7 is for the approval of the FY 22 annual budget, consisting of $74,107,650 in revenues and expenses, a balanced budget for FY 22. Also included in that budget is appropriation from the county of $17 million. Resolution number 8 is for the tuition and fee changes for FY 22 in accordance with the tuition and fee hearing held today. We seek your approval on all 8 resolutions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Very, very good report, Mr. Maltino. Thank you. Chairman Power, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolutions 1 through 8.
Second that.
Motion made by Mr. Finkelstein and seconded by
Bob Sika.
Sika.
Mr. Sika. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstention.
Abstention?
Mark Finkelstein, resolution number 1, please.
All right.
And Madam Chair, I'd like to abstain on resolution 5A.
Thank you. Okay. Motion is carried. Thank you. Others, all in favor? Okay. Human Resources, Mr. Oros.
Thank you, Mrs. Powers. Mr. Morgan, we have a report this morning.
So Mr. Morgan's on vacation, so we're going to ask Jeff Herron to present the HR resolutions.
Thank you. Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Orris. We have 4 recommended items, change of status, a separation, and 2 miscellaneous items for consideration today.
Mrs. Powers, I would like to make a motion to approve all resolutions in the categories of separations and miscellaneous.
Second, Raja.
Second by Mr. Raja. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Absent? Motion is carried. Thank you. General Vice Chair, Mr. Finkelstein.
Thank you, Chairman Power. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolutions numbers 1 and 2.
Sika, second.
Moved and Mr. Finkelstein moved, seconded by Mr. Sika. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Report of council.
There's no report, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you. Report of Dr. McCormick.
Thank you, Chairman Power. So I don't know that Sam Milano is still on the call, but if she is, I want to start by thanking you again, Sam, for sharing your story. And as Trustee Anderson said, your public speaking skills are beyond compare right now. So congratulations on that. Next slide, please, John. So we have several things to be proud of this month. One is we're celebrating Black History Month in February. Next slide. And so I called your attention to a number of events that I'll send you a reminder about later today. We have these 3 coming up in the next few weeks, put on by different groups of the college. An event by the Honors Program and the Office of Student Life, an event by the VPMA department, and an event by the EOF program. So a lot of things going on. We're celebrating Black history. and we're proud to have a diverse campus. Next slide. Students telling their stories. Next slide. So I want to highlight 4 different women, current and recent students who make us proud, starting again with you, Sam. This is a quote from Sam about why she was really glad to have started at Middlesex, and you heard how anybody she asked at the college, faculty, staff, others, offered to help, right? And I believe the person that she was assisted by that day when she fell in the grass in front of Chambers Hall was a retired staff member named Joanne Shurtleff. And Joanne was just like that. Joanne would have said very nonchalantly, but very clearly, get up, come with me, let's have French fries and talk. I'm going to get you back on track. And that's true of every person she mentioned. Brenda Kavanaugh, the other adjuncts, everybody has helped people like Sam all the time, all the way. Next slide. So we also have a current student, Aurelia Aguilar Torres, a business major graduating this year. The New Jersey Council of County Colleges convened a meeting with Representative Mikey Sherrill from North Jersey last week as part of the ACCT National Legislative Summit. And we talked to Mikey Sherrill about a lot of things that we care about in New Jersey with regard to how to support community colleges and our students, but particularly about CCOG, the Community College Opportunity Grant that Vice President Campbell mentioned as part of the resolutions we're approving this month. And CCOG, as you know, is Governor Murphy's attempt to make community college, the first 2 years of college, free. So for any family with adjusted gross income of $65,000 or less, essentially your first 2 years of college at a community college are free. And Aaron Fichtner, the president of NJCCC, asked each college to have a student who's benefiting from CCOG come and speak to Representative Sherrill, but he only chose 4 out of the 18 colleges to speak, and he chose one of our students. He chose Aurelia. Aurelia went first, and Jose Laureano was there, Michelle was there, I was there. Aurelia did a fabulous job. This is a quote from Aurelia, again, thanking the governor for CCOG and the college for helping her. She's going to go places. She's a single mother. She's a dreamer. She moved here as a child into this country at the age of 5, thought she couldn't afford to go to work and raise her family and go to school. Something had to give, and it was going to college. But CCOG made it possible to do all 3. And she wants to be a role model for her daughters so that when they get older, they can see they also can achieve by going to college, just as Sam did, just as Aurelia is doing. Next slide. There's a picture of the screenshot of that meeting with Representative Sherrill, and there on the top row toward the right is our student Aurelia. Next slide. So the third student I want to talk about is Leslie Rivera, who graduated last year, 2 years ago. She went to the Perth Amboy Center to get most of the courses for her degree. And we had an event about a week ago with Kane University, our second largest transfer partner. And Leslie's an example of someone who went to Middlesex College, got her associate degree, transferred to Kane, is getting her bachelor's degree, and is going somewhere. Just like Sam, she's unstoppable. And she credits, again, her success at Kane with what she got as a foundation here at Middlesex, especially the teachers, the faculty who helped her achieve and get ready to go on and do well at a 4-year college. Next slide. And the last student I want to highlight is you, Gabrielle. Again, as Chairman Finkelstein said, and others have said, we're incredibly proud to have a student every year be part of our board. You're a great advocate and spokesperson for the student perspective. And you've told your story recently, as again, part of that ACCT National Legislative Summit. We met with Congresswoman Bonnie Watson-Coleman's staff one day and with Congressman Pallone's staff the next day. And you were the prime speaker at both events, and you made us proud there. You talked about the fact that you and your twin sister graduated high school. Your family couldn't afford to send you both to 4-year colleges the entire time. You both came to Middlesex. You've both done well. And in your case, you've gone on a TCNJ and are making us proud there. So I'm very thankful for amazing, strong women and students like Sam and Aurelia and Leslie and you, Gabrielle. Next slide. And there's Gabrielle speaking at one of those events with the congressman and woman. Next slide. There she is again. Next slide. So the last thing I want to talk about is Middle States. We've been preparing for 2 years, we as an institution, for the upcoming site visit at the end of our long road of the journey to reaccreditation by Middle States. And as we know, Middle States accreditation is incredibly important for a publicly funded institution like Middlesex. It allows us to offer federal financial aid. It ensures that our credits are transferable to other institutions, and it makes sure that we stand out among other colleges as an accredited institution, and not some fly-by-night college or university. Next slide. So this is a picture of the great team that was assembled that's been working for 1.5 years to research our compliance with the 7 standards, to put together an amazing self-study you've all seen, and now to get ready to meet with the site visit team in a matter of days. And this is the triumvirate who leads that committee, Professor Jennifer Appleby, Dean Megan Alai, and Vice President Schur, and every other member of the Self-Study Steering Committee, the co-chairs of each of the 7 standards. Next slide. And so we'll be meeting again beginning on the evening of the 28th of February with the team, and then they'll be here pretty much all day, Monday the 1st, Tuesday the 2nd. They'll report out to the public on the morning of the 3rd, and then we'll have to wait until the commission meets to confirm their recommendation. But again, my greatest appreciation to all the faculty and staff who've been doing many, many months of great work, preparing the study, preparing for the visit, and especially again to Jennifer and Megan and Linda and Jeff, who's our liaison and who's preparing for the visit. We're gonna do a great job, but I really think that we show ourselves well in that self-study as an amazing institution focused on student success. So thanks to all of you. And John, that's the end of the slides. Chairman Power, that's the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much.
Great,
Do
great
we have any?
work.
Do we have any old business? Right. We have any new business? Okay, and I understand Khalid is with us.
I think he's still there. Khalid?
Khalid, it's always good to hear from you and the commissioners.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, Chairwoman. I'm just incredibly moved, and on behalf of the freeholder director, the deputy director, and the rest of the board, I just want to say congratulations to Samantha, Ariely, Gabrielle, and Leslie for their incredible achievements. But most of all, Chairwoman, my congrats goes to the board of the Middlesex College, the incredible faculty, and the body itself that creates the environment and brings about such leaders from within our community. It just extracts and nurtures and cultivates and supports talent to produce great leaders. And I'm really honored and proud to be part of it. And on behalf of the freeholders, I just say congratulations, Dr. McCormick, the Middlesex College Board, and all of the teachers and faculty and professors that go into creating leaders like Samantha and Leslie and Ariely and Gabrielle. So thank you. That's it really makes me very proud to be part of this great organization. Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Khalid. Any members of the board wish to speak about anything?
Very nice.
Chairman Power, it's Chrissy. If I just, I'm sorry, Dr.
Chrissy?
Yeah, Chairman Power, I just want to echo Dr. McCormick's comments about our board liaison, Gabriella and Ariely. I had the pleasure of also sitting in on several of those meetings with our congressional delegation, and they did a fabulous job representing Middlesex College and telling their stories. So just wanted to publicly acknowledge that as well. Additionally, just a quick update from the New Jersey Council of Community Colleges, continue to work on guided pathways and legislation that the association supported related to CCOG, which is the grant program that Dr. McCormick referenced, is sitting on Governor Murphy's desk awaiting his signature. Thank you.
Okay. All right, it is now time for public comment. Section 7.4 of the board bylaws governs public participation at board meetings. Pursuant to the provisions of the bylaws, the following protocol will be observed. Only those individuals who registered at least 24 hours in advance of the meeting with the Assistant Secretary of the Board will be called upon to address the board. A college staff member will announce your name in the order in which you registered and unmute you. Please be sure your name appears on Zoom and matches the name you used to register. Preface your comments by announcing your name, municipality of residence, and group affiliation. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Please direct all your comments toward me. A college staff member will announce when 30 seconds of your time is remaining, and again when your 3 minutes is up. be muted at the end of your comments or after 3 minutes. Ms. Rowett, has anyone registered to address the board?
Chairman Power, we have one individual registered.
Okay, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Charlie Cradaville. I'm from the great city of New Brunswick, and I'm the editor of New Brunswick Today. I wanted to follow up on some of the questions I had at the January meeting and some of the responses I got from Mr. Hoffman. Madam Chair, is Mr. Hoffman with us this morning?
I'm here.
Okay, so I first want to clarify, Mr. Finkelstein asked your firm to do a review of potential conflicts of interest. That's correct?
I was requested by the college to do it.
Okay, and so you told myself and the board last month, quote, "We reviewed it and determined that because it's a nonprofit organization and he's not paid anything, there wasn't a conflict." What organization were you talking about? Is that the ESCNJ?
Yes.
Okay, and I've tried to follow up at the end and clarify if you were saying that he's paid by the ESCNJ or not. And you said, quote, "No, I'm not sure where he's paid by." And I guess I'm a little confused how you could do a review of potential conflicts of interest if you're not sure where Mr. Finkelstein is paid by. Do you still believe today that he's not paid by ESCNJ, or you're not sure where?
Mr. Cradaville, we did that research a couple of years ago. And I have to admit that I don't remember every intimate detail of all the research we do. I believe he is paid by that. But we also suggested he recluse himself just because of various concerns, and he has reclused himself. So even if there was a conflict, he's reclused himself. But I'm convinced there is no conflict. And my firm is.
Okay. And do you think you'd be able to share a copy of that, report or that review that you did?
I would have to talk to my client. If they're willing to me to share it, I will share it.
Okay. And I guess I could follow up with you via email to get a copy. Or,
That's correct.
If you'll allow that. Great. Yeah, I mean, my concern obviously stems from this whistleblower lawsuit filed by Maureen Lawrence, the former vice president in charge of compliance at this institution. She obviously thought that there was an issue with conflict of interest, and just trying to get to the bottom of what happened there. I know she was paid $75,000 to settle that lawsuit, and I definitely think that it's worthy of some discussion of this board and for the public to know about what happened. So I'll follow up with Mr. Hoffman to see if I can get a copy of that review and understand, what factored into it. But for the record, Mr. Finkelstein is CNJ. He's paid quite well by them. I believe he's one of, if not the most.
Well, Mr. Cradaville, we sent you the settlement agreement, and the settlement agreement right in the whereas it says the parties now wish fully and finally to compromise and settle the suit to avoid the further burden, expense, hardship, inconvenience, and distraction of further litigation and or appeal between them. That's the reason. That's one of the primary reasons we did it. We don't believe any of the claims have merit, and Mr. Finkelstein, I'm sure he's well worth whatever he's paid because he's an invaluable member of this board.
Just objecting to being repeatedly muted. I wasn't given any warning of the time, and I just wanted to say that he is one of the most highly paid superintendents in the state of New Jersey, if not the most. So that's for the record. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Have a great day, everyone.
Okay, were the 3 minutes up?
Yes, Chairman Power.
Okay, thank you. As we have no further business to conduct this morning, the board is adjourned until our next regularly scheduled meeting on Wednesday, March 17th. That's St. Patty's Day at 8:30 at a location or means of virtual access to be determined and advertised. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Madam Chairman. Sika.
Moved and seconded by Gary. Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned, and be safe and stand adjourned. Thank you very much for everyone.